Hi, I'm David Alston, and welcome to the David Alston Show. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to stop by. I appreciate you for joining me. Appreciate you for watching as we try to talk about practical things in life to make life better for all of us. Practical things in life that make life better for not just for you, but for your entire family as well. I want to give a special thank you to those that joined as we came back on the air on yesterday, talking about some of the barriers to self growth. Self growth has barriers. Self growth has some things that are trying to stop us, and we're talking about a few of these things and discussing them, and hopefully, as we talk about these things, it will become easier and better for you as well as myself to grow more, to become more of a better person for myself and for my family. I want to also issue a special acknowledgement to those that have been supporting this show by way, not financially, but by way of just watching. It means a lot that you watch. It means a lot that you give your comments. I want to challenge you to like, share, and offer your comments in the comment section so that we can acknowledge your thoughts and your opinions on what we're talking about. Also, I want you to hop over to the Apple Podcast site, or if you just want to log into your on your phones or your computer to www.theundergroundsubway.com and listen to our Underground Subway podcast, in which we talk about the same things. We talk about mental health issues, spiritual issues. We talk about everything that we need to do to be better in life. We don't want to just live life. We want to live life the best way that we possibly can. Well, we talked about yesterday, we were talking about some of the challenges and some of the things that we struggle with in our daily living to become better. And so today I want to continue that in that vein, continue talking about some of the barriers or the things that hinder us or hold us back from being better. I want to continue to talk about these things so that we can be better, so that we can live a better life, so that we can function better. And so, yesterday we talked about a couple of things. We talked about fear being one of the things, and we talked about denial. We talked about, if you're going to deny that you need help, then that is a barrier because you first have to acknowledge the barrier. And I want to challenge you to just look on our page and find the David Austin show from yesterday and catch up. We're not doing a long live, we're not going long broadcast, but we're doing it in a sense that we can give you just enough to hold you over so that you can learn a little bit, get a little bit at a time. We're not going to let you eat the entire pizza at one setting, just a little, a slice at a time. So let's jump right in. Again, I want to challenge you to when you give, you want to offer your comments, just type your comments into the comment section. And when you do that, we will acknowledge them. We will talk about them. We'll jump right in and we'll have a conversation. All right. Well, again, we talked about two of the barriers to self growth being one being fear. That is the number one barrier. And the other barrier being denial. Let's start off today by talking about a third barrier to self growth. What is a third barrier to self growth? The third barrier to self growth, the third thing that you have to be aware of, is a thing called, it is a thing called, uh, well, there's no fancy, we always have these fancy words, but there is no fancy word to say pride. Pride is a barrier. Pride is a barrier to self growth. If you have pride, you will not grow successfully. So let me jump right in with this. How you doing, my friend, my brother from Philly, Jimmy Williams? Thank you, Jimmy, for joining us. We're talking about some barriers to self growth. Jimmy is a successful businessman, one of the most successful businessmen in the city of Philadelphia. And so Jimmy can certainly attest to that. If he allows some of these barriers to enter his life, as well as my life and yours, you wouldn't be successful. Pride. Now, there's nothing wrong with pride in the sense of being proudful of your life accomplishments. There's nothing wrong with being proud of what you've accomplished. There's nothing wrong with being proud of where you are in life. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your children for graduating college or high school. Some people are laughing because so many of us, we're so proudful of our children and grandchildren for graduating kindergarten. Well, whatever, if you're proudful in that sense, there's nothing wrong with that. But where pride can become a barrier in your efforts to be successful is when you allow pride to cloud your vision for where you want to go. Now, what do I mean by clouding your vision or clouding your mind for where you want to go? When you get to the point, and this one is a very simple one. I may not spend a lot of time talking about pride today because this one is quite simple. When you get to a point where you are too proudful or you have too much pride to even acknowledge that you need to improve, that you need to grow, that will be a barrier to you growing. We talked about yesterday fear. If you're too afraid to do it, or if you're denying it, I don't need to grow. That's a barrier. But being proudful, being too proudful, or having too much pride to acknowledge that you need to grow. You need to grow. You have to have something on the inside of you that says, listen, I'm not ashamed. Let me give you a case in point. A young man may be 35 years old, and his life's goal has been to earn a degree in a field or an area of expertise in which he wanted to do ever since he was a child, but life sent him on a different pathway. Now, at age 35 years old, he looks back and says, "You know what? Uh, I never really moved toward that area in my life that will make me better. The reason why I didn't move toward that area in life is because, well, I didn't graduate high school. I didn't graduate high school, and because I didn't graduate high school, I can't work in the field that I want to work. The only thing that I need to do is go back to school, whether it's take some night classes, or get my GED, whatever it is I need to do. It is doing that thing that will help me to accomplish my goals, that will help me accomplish my dreams." Well, then when that young man looks at it and looks at the overall scope and picture, he's defined his goal. He's defined the fact that in order to achieve my dreams, my goal is I need my high school diploma, or I need my GED. I need that. That is the goal. I see it right there. Now, we talked yesterday about fear. Fear will say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm afraid to do it. Well, that's a barrier that we're going to eliminate. We talked about yesterday that denial is a barrier. Well, I don't really need to get my G. Well, we're knocking that out because we've already established that I do need this degree. So that denial is not there. But now we enter a stage in which the problem is pride. How can pride be a barrier when this young man knows that his goal, in order to reach his dream, his goal has to include getting that degree? Well, here's the pride. I wonder what would happen if someone else found out that I didn't graduate high school. I wonder what would happen if I looked up and noticed that all of my friends who thought I graduated now will understand, or now they will recognize and come to the knowledge that I did not graduate. So now I can't let them, because they thought that I was the man in high school. So I can't let my children or my family or friends know that I never accomplished my number one goal. So now pride has entered the picture. And so pride can sometimes prevent us from being willing to admit that we made a mistake in the past. I dropped out of school when I shouldn't have. That's pride. Or I did something else that I shouldn't have done, which was, here's the sidebar in this conversation. Here's another barrier. This is barrier 3, and we're going to do 3A. Maybe I'm too pride to admit that I connected with the wrong people. And by connecting with the wrong people, it threw me off of my goals. It threw me off of my dreams or my destination. That is a side topic that we need to discuss, because one of the greatest barriers that we can have in life that will stop us from achieving our goals is being connected to the wrong people. If you're connected to the wrong people, my friends, you will never grow properly. It is interesting because as human beings, we have this tendency, we have this big fancy word, proclivity. We have this tendency to become we become complacent where we are. We get satisfied either good or bad. You can become complacent doing good, doing the right thing or doing well, or you can become complacent not doing well, not doing the right thing, or not doing good. It's just who we are. We get locked into a zone and we fail to grow because we get comfortable. Now, if that is how we are and we connect with the wrong people who also will get comfortable with you being where you are, then you will never grow. You also need to watch, be careful of your surroundings and who you connect yourself with, because you can be connected to people that you think are there to help you grow, and they're not really there to help you grow. Some people are just leeches. I'm a city boy. I'm from Philly, but yet I grew up working my main job that I love. I worked at the zoo and I worked in the horticulture department and worked with the animals. But I remember one time we planted a tree, and when we planted the tree, I thought that you just plant the tree and let the tree come up. Well, I didn't know that we had to plant the tree, and then as you plant the tree, you connect a wire around it so that the tree grows straight up. Now, as the tree goes, so does the wire. There's some people in life whose only purpose for being in your life is to grow and to use you to get higher. The higher you go, they go. And so you have to be careful. You really have to understand people. We have a tendency in life to just take people at face value. And let me tell you something, everyone in your life doesn't have your best interests at heart. And you need to recognize and redefine your circle and say, listen, there's some people, I love you, but everyone can't go with me to my destiny. Everyone can't go with me. I love you. You can be my friend for 20 years. And I know it's easier said than done. How do you disconnect with someone that is a friend of yours? How do you disconnect with someone that is a family member and you find out that that family member really means you no good? So, my friends, it's a difficult thing, but it's something that we have to do. You have to define who's around you. And it often may take pride as a barrier to say, wow, do you mean I connected with someone that really doesn't have my best interest in heart? Or, wow, does it mean that I made the mistake of connecting with someone who can't help me get to my destiny or get to my purpose, or who can't help me grow? So, number 3, pride. Pride can be a barrier. Number 4, let's look at something else. Number 4, defensiveness. Now, what do I mean by being defensive? Being overly defensive is a signal to others of your insecurity. And sometimes we can be insecure. And a person who is excessively concerned with guarding himself against real or imaginary criticism is not able to grow. His or her defensiveness closes him down, and he becomes a prisoner in his own prison. What do I mean by a prisoner in your own prison? I mean that there are times, that there are cases when there are going to be people in your life, there are going to be people around you whose entire assignment is to evaluate you better than you can evaluate yourself. Let me share this with you. I spent about 5 years as a head football coach. And one of the things that I had to learn as a football coach, and my players had to learn as players, is that there's some things that I see from the sideline about you that you don't see, because you're watching your opponent when you're on the field. I would have linemen say, well, coach, he's doing this. I said, yes, but my job is not just to watch him. I'm not just telling you what he's doing. I'm telling you what you're doing. You're also making some mistakes. Sometimes they're going to be people. You have to have proper coaches in your life. You have to have people in your life whose entire assignment, whose entire job, everything they do is one thing. And that is their job is to watch you, is to evaluate you from the sideline. It is their job to watch you to say, listen, I see what you're doing, but I also see what your opponent is doing. And here are some necessary changes that you need to make. Many times we don't want to make changes, again, like I said earlier, because we become complacent in what we're doing. But a good coach, a good friend, a good buddy will see you and criticize and evaluate you and say, listen, I know you think that you're on the right path, but let me tell you something. You are headed toward destruction, and you're also not headed, more importantly, towards self growth. And that's what you want. So you want to not be defensive of criticism. You should want someone in your life, my friends, who will criticize you, who will evaluate you. You need someone in your life that you can say, that you can trust with your goal, that you can trust with your self growth, that you can say, this is what I want to do. And then make that person, make yourself accountable to that person. That's what I mean. Make yourself accountable to that person. Going back to the illustration I used earlier about the young man who needs his GED or diploma to get the job. Find someone in your life that you can trust. Find someone in your life that you know has your best interest at heart and say, here is my goal. By the year 2020, by December of 2024, I need my GED. I need my high school diploma. I want to get my real estate license. I want to get my auto sales license. I need to get it and I want it. Have that person not just be in your life to hold you accountable to, so that you have to quote unquote check in every so often to say this is the progress I'm making, but you now need to trust that person, that when they say to you, man, girl, you're not really doing what you're supposed to be doing on this end. You really need to do better. That you trust that person to be able to criticize you and criticize you properly. You need to have that. Everyone needs a coach. The greatest football player in the world needed a head coach. The greatest basketball player needs a coach. Someone, I don't care how great you are, you're not perfect. And because you're not perfect, what that means is you're going to need someone in your life that you can come to, that you can say, listen, what am I doing wrong? Even professional baseball players need a coach, and sometimes it's as simple as the things. I not only did I coach football, I coached baseball, and I had players that that would be in a hitting slump, and it was something as simple as their footwork. It was something as simple as you placing your foot here. Try stepping 3 inches over. The littlest of corrections can make a world of difference. And when you understand that, then you understand that because of that, you have to have someone in your life that will look at you and tell this is what you need to do, and you have to trust that person. And when you do that, you remove that barrier. Let's go down the list again. When you remove that fear, when you remove that denial, when you remove that pride, and when you remove that defensiveness out of your life, it will make a big difference. I want to end it right here. Next time, probably next week or sometime after that, I want to talk about some other things, about self-responsibility, and I want to talk about self-discipline. All of these are barriers that you have to remove. And I promise you, if you get to that point in life where you remove these barriers, where you decide, listen, I'm going to get rid of the fear, I'm going to get rid of the denial, I'm going to get rid of the pride, and I'm going to get rid of the defensiveness in my life, I promise you, you will look up after you've established your goal, after you said, this is what I want to do. My question to you is, are you? Are you in a place in life in which you're satisfied with where you are, or do you want more? Are you happy? Are you happy? And I'm not talking in a physical sense, but I'm talking in a life sense. Are you happy where you are, or do you want to be like the Jeffersons and moved on up? Jefferson said, we got to move up. Well, what if they were too afraid to move? They would have stayed in Queens. What if they were in denial that they needed to move or get better? They would have stayed in Queens. What if they were too proud to let people know that they lived in Queens? They would have stayed in Queens. What if they were defensive when someone shared with maybe one of their own family members said, listen, you guys can do better. You can live better. If they were in being defensive, they would have stayed in Queens. My friends, I don't want you to stay where you are. I want you to do better. I want you to live better. I want you to get better. Not just for you, but for your entire family. You got me? You feel me? Good. Listen, I want to ask you a question. I want to challenge you before I end this uh, brief show, this brief live. I want to challenge you tonight. Before you go to bed tonight, find a mirror. Can you do that? I want you to find a mirror. I want you to look yourself right in the eyes in that mirror. I want you to look at yourself. I want you to stare at yourself. I want you to get right in your face. And I want you to ask yourself a question. I want you to look at yourself and say this. Ask yourself this. Today, not yesterday, not last week, today, did I do something to grow? Did I do something to make my life better? Did I do something to make my children and my grandchildren to make their life better? Or did I simply waste another day? We don't have any more time to waste. We got to get busy. I'll see you next time here on the David Alston Show. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time right here.